Okay, folks, no one can say this is an emotional after the fact response. We've had some time to sit down, calmly think about this yesterday evening and again early this morning. It's time now for a response to the Springboks win over England in the Rugby World Cup semifinal at the Stade de France in Paris. Well, when I said that the Springboks were fortunate or lucky to defeat France, I had comments like, "Oh, I'm so sick of these subjective comments about games. And people that say this don't know anything about sport." Well, quite frankly, people who make comments like that don't know anything about analysis. Analysis, by its very nature, is subjective, based on limited facts and information gaps. Well, we've got plenty of information in this post-game analysis. Let's talk about that. And here's the bottom line with this game last night. When the final whistle blows, statistics do not matter. Poor play does not matter. Only the final score matters in sport. The near comatose Springboks returned from the dead at the Stade de France on Saturday night to slip past England by a single point and lock in their spot in the 2023 Rugby World Cup Final. The hapless Boks overturned a 12-6 halftime deficit to beat an incredibly proficient England side 16-50 in a deeply intense and passionate Rugby World Cup semifinal. But the thing is, the Springboks didn't seem to get off the bus for 67 minutes. Lineouts, scrums, playing the high ball, England slowing down the game with kicks that left the Boks bewildered and clueless, atrocious kicking the first half. All of this led to the deficit and what looked like a team that was going to lose. The Bok faithful were left without fingernails by the 65th minute for those biting their nails, as it all looked like it was slipping away. However, Andre Pollard's excellent touch finder also set up a lineout inside the English 22, which then set up R.G. Snyman's try after 68 minutes. But honestly, all this began to slowly turn around as early as the 48th minute in the second half when Oxenche came on and replaced Stephen Kitsoff in the front row. And that seemed to begin to turn the scrum around, which had been a disaster to that point. In fact, it looked like the game was about to be over and be out of reach, and Oxenche came in and provided incredible stability, which stopped England 5 meters out from the try line, and the Springboks won a penalty there and got out of jail. Had England scored a try there, it was going to be over. Now, former Springbok coach Nick Mallett summed it up quite well when he said that this was South Africa's worst performance of the World Cup by far. Indeed, it was. It was a terrible performance. Arguably, this was England's best Rugby World Cup 2023 performance, and for that matter, the best they played in donkey years. While it may sting to go home, Steve Borthwick's boys nonetheless proved the pundits to be premature in dismissing England in this game. England's game plan was exceptional, slowing the game down, taking points on offer, bringing in Freddie Stewart, poaching the ball in lineouts, stealing the high ball, winning first half scrums. They got it done. As for the Springboks, only one starter rates even a decent score on performance, Franco Molstart. The rest need to look in the mirror at the turgid display they put on and profusely thank the bench for saving their bacon. Oxenche turned scrums around. Andre Pollard rescued the kicking game. Quagga Smith, Dion Free, and R.G. Snyman brought energy, attitude, and performance when it was needed most. So where do we go from here? Well, to the final and another title. Wait a second. You just said terrible things about the Springboks, but you think they're going to win? Yeah, I said they're going to win all along. The fact that they didn't perform particularly well against France, the fact that they played poorly against England and still won, says a lot about a championship team, that even on their bad nights, their horrible performances, they can beat a side. Until this game, I wouldn't have said England was a top side, but their performance against South Africa in the semifinal proved that England can rise again to the highest levels of rugby. They played exceptionally well. Even Owen Farrell played exceptionally well. A little bit of belly aching, but no cheap shots that I could find, and his kicking was exceptional, and he played with a lot of energy and passion for his team. So Rossi and Jacques Naber will not allow this level of play on the pitch for a final. What do? Start Andre Pollard, bring in Kane and Moody. These are options. I suggested Kane and Moody, and I was 100% correct in this game. Kurtley Arendse was left clueless, inexperienced, frustrated, making mistakes, ineffective, and too short to win the high ball. He was picked on repeatedly. So make a few necessary changes here, and it'll be a Springboks title. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I was overly harsh on the Springboks performance? Were the Springboks lucky? Well, yeah. If you plan on winning a game based on winning scrum penalties, you are living with a rabbit's foot in your pocket. Scrum penalties can go either way at any time of the day, especially with Ben O'Keefe on the pitch. I had to get a Ben O'Keefe dig in there. And by the way, during the game, I said it profusely, and I'll continue to say it again. I've seen it analyzed by English newspapers, British newspapers. When Franco Malstart was charging down around the 5 meters and there was no one in front of him, 2 England players came up and one shoulder charged him, didn't wrap, and hit him. That surely stopped a try. At a minimum, it was a penalty and a yellow card. Nothing was called. England trying to say he couldn't wrap his arm around because there was another player in the way. That's nonsense. There was no effort to wrap his arm. It was a shoulder charge and hit him high. Should have been a penalty, a yellow card, and possibly even a penalty try if the referee was generous enough looking at the pitch and looking at the replay. But it didn't happen. And that in itself could have changed the complexion of the game early on, but it didn't. Whatever the case is, stats don't matter. Pundits don't matter. Performance on the pitch matters. And the starting 15 did not perform. The bench saved their banquet. Thank you to the Bucks bench. All right, folks, it's the final next week. Let's go Bucks. Let's win this back-to-back and send the Kiwis home.